Hey guys, welcome back to the Courageous Nerd YouTube channel for another interview. I'm Connor and I'm delighted to welcome back Dylan Kingwell to chat all about his role as the teenage Clark Kent on the CW Superman and Lois. Dylan also discussed whether he was a fan of DC Comics before being cast in the show, as well as conversations with fellow actor Tyler Hoechlin, who plays the present-day Clark Kent or Superman. If you enjoy this interview or any of the others on the channel, including our previous chat with Dylan, please be sure to like and subscribe. So welcome back, Dylan, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yes, of course. Thanks. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, and obviously, congratulations for landing the role of the teenage Clark Kent on Superman and Lois. And I suppose when we last spoke at the endish of last year, was that something you knew was in the pipeline back then, or had it not come around yet?
Yeah, I was aware. I think I had booked it by then. And I believe our interview was in December, which I think it was. I had
Might have been
already
a little
filmed.
earlier, but I
Well,
think in
oh,
that
was it?
in
Okay,
in
then
that region, yeah.
I was either just about to or had already done my bit for the pilot at that point. So like the graveyard scene and the scene where Clark's father collapses at the Harvest
Yeah,
Festival. That was filmed right around then. So yeah, I had booked it maybe 3 weeks prior to our interview, probably.
yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, and I never would have thought at the time to ask if you had anything big coming up. So that's kind of a nice, hindsight's a great thing, I suppose. And obviously, considering who you're playing the younger version of, like, were you particularly a fan of Superman at all before booking it?
I had been a comic book fan, although I must admit my favorite hero was the Flash. This was back
Mm,
in like seventh grade. Um, but really, yeah, I was a DC Comics fan. The Flash was sort of my main thing, but I love Superman. I love Batman, Flash, all of that stuff. So it was definitely really exciting. It reignited that sort of excitement and passion that I had for comic book characters a few years back.
is there a particular Flash that you were a fan of? Has there been a few people who like had that mantle, I suppose, or is it just a general Flash kind of hero?
I think that in the comics, the Wally West Flash is my
Yeah.
favorite, but Grant Gustin on TV is
Mm.
overall my favorite incarnation because he's great and I love the show.
Yeah, and he's a great Barry Allen as well as being a great, in the suit
Yeah.
fighting villains kind of Flash. I mean, yeah, I agree, he's great. And obviously, like a lot of these projects are kind of like confidential, and some people don't know at first when they get the sides who they're reading for. But did you know, like from the beginning, that this is a young Clark Kent, or was that something that came out to you later on?
I did know that I was auditioning for young Clark Kent, although interestingly enough, way back in this would be I think like November of 2019,
Mm.
I actually auditioned for the role that turned out to be, I think it turned out to be Jordan Kent. I think Alex Garfin's role. I auditioned for his.
Right.
And that was I was given like a fake name and all that stuff. So for that role, yeah, that one was confidential. But no, I knew that I was going for young Clark, and I initially auditioned for that in March of 2020, and then the show kind of shut down for the summer, like most things did, and then I auditioned again in August, I believe.
Yeah. Also, you kind of like pieced together later based on what you knew at the time that it was probably Jordan. That was the part you were going for then, that kind of thing.
Well, it was just because I was talking to Alex about his audition process, and he mentioned,
Mm.
oh yeah, I they gave me the sides, and it was like for Ethan, and I was like, wait, hold up, I'm pretty sure I did that too. So
Mm.
yeah, I was able to piece it together there.
Oh wow, I mean that's crazy. And obviously, just on the similar but unrelated note, obviously, like your older counterpart Tyler Hoechlin has like crossed over with like we mentioned like Grant Gustin's Flash and those other heroes, which I guess would technically make this show like in that wider Arrowverse franchise. So, like, how do you feel kind of being in that wider community?
I think it's really exciting because there aren't too many things like it on television. I
Mm.
mean, I guess you've got, Shondaland, which is like the Grey's Anatomy universe
Yeah.
and stuff. But like as far as like superheroes, it's a very unique thing to be a part of. Because it's almost, I mean, obviously it's different shows, but like it's all sort of one big thing. So yeah, it's a very unique opportunity to be a part of the Arrowverse, and I was extremely excited to sign on as young Clark.
Mm. And something I really enjoyed about our last interview is kind of talking about how like your characters and your projects you've done are kind of there in a bit of unusual circumstances. Like you've played siblings who are like on screen at the same time, or a character who looks like another character, but you're not playing the first character. And and again with this Superman and Lois, you're in flashback. So do you see kind of like a pattern developing where you're kind of connected to the main storyline, but not really?
Yeah, I think I've just have a knack for picking up these roles.
Mm.
I it's cool, and also I believe in our last interview we talked a little bit about like having source material. Did we not?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
for so
Series from
you
yeah.
know any role for source material, Superman is definitely the one.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so it was cool because I wanted to bring to light, he's Clark's always been a sweet guy, and sort of has an aw shucksness about him, and so it was fun to go into a character with that much history, having that in mind and trying to bring that to light for people who have been fans of it for a long time.
Yeah, and obviously, as I mentioned just a few questions ago, Tyler Hoechlin is playing present day Clark or Superman, and obviously, yeah, you've got very different like acting styles and presumably like interpretations of how to play the character. So, did you have much of a conversation on how to keep Clark consistent in the two different eras that he's being shown in?
Oh, we didn't actually. I only got to speak with Tyler briefly, because for viewer, and I'm sure that you'll probably get to talking about this eventually. So, but for
Mm.
viewers who watched episode 5, there's that scene where Jordan and Jonathan walk out of the kitchen, and I walk in as young Clark. That's actually the only day I've ever been on set with Tyler at the same time.
Oh, that
Um,
makes sense. Yeah.
because we actually just shot it as one, which is really cool.
Mm.
But so no, we didn't really have that conversation, but I think it was sort of had for us through the directors and the writers, and giving us the same writing. It's the same character, they know it, and I think through the directions that I was given well in the scenes, I think that they were able to make sure that there was consistency there, because I think you can tell like in the dialogue and stuff that it's the same character, and obviously with the context, of course, you can tell.
Yeah.
But I think the way that my dialogue is written, the way that the body language and everything that I was given notes on by directors and writers and stuff, it that sort of was what we needed to keep it consistent.
Yeah, and that's something, where I knew, but I didn't think of it in this case, where you could technically be working with someone for a while, but because you're not in any scenes, you've never like worked directly with them. I mean, that must be crazy, like meeting someone and you know who each other are, but you've never actually met. That must be, a weird way to meet someone for the first time.
Yeah, 100%. And because I've had like flashback characters
Mm.
before, I've had that experience, but it turns out that in each instance of me having a flashback character, I've somehow ended up working with the present day cast. Like in The Good Doctor, it was when they brought me as Evan, and
Yeah,
or in season 3 when I sort of was a vision in Sean's mind. And then in this, like I just mentioned, we shot that kitchen sequence all in one. So basically, Alex and Jordan, who play Jordan and Jonathan
the
in the
twins.
show,
Yeah.
they walked out of the kitchen, and then me and Michelle, who plays my mom, who plays Martha, walked right in. It's just such a cool,
Mm.
thing, and it looked really awesome on screen, I think. And so again, just another one of those unique experiences where I got to be in a different timeline, but still kind of be involved with the present day.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, you mentioned that you're a DC Comics fan, so you might have been like familiar with what I'm about to say, but obviously Tom Welling also played a
Mm.
teenage version of Clark Kent in Smallville, and obviously he was like the series lead of that show, so it's a different perspective on a teenage Clark. But did you study what he did with it at all for your version, or was it better to keep it separate?
I didn't. I've never watched Smallville, or yeah, I never watched Smallville. I never did see Tom Welling's rendition of young Clark, which now I think about it, maybe it would have helped and maybe it wouldn't have. But I think Superman and Lois from the beginning always sort of set out to be unique and be its own thing. There are Easter eggs and there are references,
Mm,
of course, but I think that it was good for me and beneficial for the show to have me and to have Tyler and to have Jordan, who plays Jonathan, who has also existed in canon before. I think
yeah,
it was beneficial for us to just take the writers and the directors visions and act those out because again, like I say, they want it to be their own separate thing because what's the point of another adaptation if it's just going to take everything from the prior ones.
mm,
Again, there are cool little nods to it that longtime fans will pick up, but overall I think it was good to sort of start fresh, start from a clean slate and start
yeah.
and be with the writers visions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't have like the perspective of like what's happening in the season beyond what's already aired, but I'm just thinking of like a scenario where Tyler's Clark, gets like whammied with something and he turns into you for like an episode. That would be kind of a way to like, I mean, it's plausible within the universe, but also like, as you say, to work with the people, even someone like, I mean, there's people who don't know the secret yet, but probably like certainly like the core Kent family who you wouldn't get to work with normally. That could be something interesting. I mean, for all I know, that could be an episode, and I just who knows?
The Arrowverse is really cool because you've got that power to shift across timelines and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see if young Clark finds a way back into the season.
Absolutely. And I suppose like other than Clark, the obvious bias that'd be attached to it. Do you have a favorite character in the show?
Um, I really enjoy watching Alex Garfin's character, who is Jordan Kent, because I think that Alex is doing a great job at bringing awareness to like social anxiety in
Mm,
teens, but also not making it like the main like his defining trait. Because the
yeah.
truth is, like, as someone who's gone through anxiety myself, like we don't want it to be our main thing that we're known for. So I've loved watching his character develop. And obviously, I love what Tyler's doing with present day Superman. But really, I'm just enjoying the whole thing come together. I think that the show and all the characters are blending together really nicely, and the storylines are cool. But I definitely am enjoying how they're writing Jordan for sure.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, just to say about that whole cast, I think it's interesting how, in many cases, they're not going the obvious direction with like the portrayal of what you think the characters to be. Certainly, with the twins, there's like, you could argue there's been similar characters on TV before, but I feel like Alex and Jordan are both kind of taking in a different direction and subverting, the jock character or, as you say, social anxieties. I think definitely for sure props to them for that talented
Yeah,
cast.
and it goes back to what I said about like with Tom Welling's character and stuff. It goes back to Superman and Lois really set out, I think, to be unique and to be its own adaptation.
Yeah, and just to say, I didn't ask it in the last interview. We could have had a major scoop, but do you have any projects coming up you can tell me about?
Not that I can tell you about, but
Right.
yeah, I've been on set for other things. So yeah, look out for those in the future. They'll be on my social media when they can be.
Yeah, I suppose I'll have to wait for interview number three for you to tell me about it.
Yeah, when
That's the only way I find these things out, apparently.
as soon as well, you'll see the social media release and stuff, and then
Yeah,
you'll.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, and I'm sure it's all very exciting, whatever it turns out to be. And yeah, just on like on a different note, obviously we're a few months into 2021, but what do you hope to accomplish with, this year, ahead, obviously after what we just experienced in 2020?
Um, I mean, that's a great question. I would love to just, get back to normal. I think as people, as the world, I think
Mm.
that should be our main goal, is to just keep following the rules, and hopefully, with vaccinations rolling out this year, we'll get back to normal, because that's really my main priority. I want to get back to normal life. With hybrid school and all that, it all, I think, can weigh down on you a little bit. And I think we might not even know what to do with ourselves when we're allowed to, go into a store without a mask on and stuff. But I'm excited for that feeling. And in terms of acting, auditions are coming in. And so I would just love to book that next new project, and stay as busy as I can with work, stay caught up with school, and yeah. But like I said, first and foremost, let's get things back to normal, and I hope that everyone listening to this will get through it unscathed.
I mean, absolutely, that would all be great, wouldn't it? After the year we've had, and I suppose for anyone who might have like first become aware of you through Superman and Lois, like where can they find you on social media?
I'm most active on Instagram at dylan.kingwell.
That's great. And I mean, maybe a bit late to say this, but I suppose like how would you describe Superman and Lois to anyone who's like unfamiliar with it?
Um, I think, like I said, like I've already said in this interview, the most prominent thing about it for me is that it's its own rendition, and there's a fantastic team of writers and directors and producers behind it who have unique visions, and I think it's 100% worth the watch for that reason, because you'll get tons of material and content that you may not have expected, and certainly have never received from other Superman adaptations, while still at the same time enjoying the classic characters that you've known and loved for a long time.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I've already had the chance to see some of it, but that's definitely, a great pitch. And, if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend watching the show. I'll just wrap this up now by saying thanks again for coming back to speak with me, Dylan. So great to hear from you. Take care and stay safe.
Of course, thanks for having me. I hope you guys are safe over there in the UK, and yeah, it was a great time. Thank you.